From 1989 until 2015, SimCity was the premier city building game on the market. But a major misstep in 2013 caused a rival developer to create a city builder that in many people's opinion was far superior to SimCity. It's been over 10 years since SimCity was released in March of 2013. But was it really that bad, or was it just misunderstood? And is it time for EA to take another chance on SimCity? Let's take a trip back in time to June of 2012. At the E3 conference in Los Angeles, EA takes to the stage to show off their brand new updated version of SimCity. It's the first new entry in the series since SimCity 4 came out all the way back in 2004. And there's no doubt about it, the new SimCity looks phenomenal. All new graphics, multiplayer, and finite resources should make for a fun and challenging game. Jump ahead to March of 2013 and the feelings towards SimCity have shifted drastically. The release of SimCity was a disaster and people are not happy. SimCity requires an internet connection, even for single-player games. Many of the mechanics are not working properly, and worst of all, this city size is minuscule, which wouldn't be a problem if the trading between cities in a region was more reliable. And not to mention the relentless server overcrowding issues that left players waiting for up to 30 minutes to play a single-player game. SimCity was doomed before the first patch even came out. With Cities Skylines 2 releasing in just over a month, I wanted to see how SimCity was holding up 10 years later, and to see if SimCity should get a new sequel to go up against the now giant Cities Skylines franchise. So I booted up the EA Games app, and after remembering my password, I went over to the SimCity game page and was somewhat surprised. I had 77 hours of gameplay, which, granted, really isn't that much compared to other games that I play a lot, but it was a lot more than I remember playing it. I thought for sure that I had only about 20 hours of playtime. I know I hadn't sat down and played the game for an extended period since 2013. I had installed the game onto my computer in June to make a SimCity history video, but I probably only played it for about 30 minutes. I was genuinely excited to get back into this game. So I bought the Cities of Tomorrow expansion and loaded up the game. Upon reaching the main menu, I was immediately hit with a wave of nostalgia. The music on the main menu was instantly recognizable and brought back some good memories of the game and the time spent playing it all those years before. I created a new region and founded my first city. I spent almost 6 hours that first day playing in that one city, and I must admit, I was having a good time. After playing Skylines for the last 8 years, there was definitely a learning curve to get back into SimCity, and the two games are much more different than I remember. Once my first city in the region was nearly full, I began running into some space issues, so I started a new city and sent over some seed money to get it started. Over the next week, I played SimCity for over 30 hours, with all hours spent in the same region that I created for this video. I was hoping to fully develop all 3 cities in the region and finish a great works, but I was only able to get 2 cities to a point that I was semi-happy with. But regardless, I felt that 30 hours of game time was enough to get a good feel for the game again. I found some good in the game as well as some bad. So let's start with the good. The look of SimCity is fantastic. It's not a super realistic city builder, but SimCity never really has been. It has a certain charm to it that is hard to describe. The oversaturated colors and slightly unrealistic building designs make your city feel like a city from a Pixar movie. It's very easy to get distracted from your city's needs because you're busy looking at all the cool scenery at different angles throughout the day. I personally prefer the look of SimCity to that of Cities Skylines' more realistic design style. And I can't express this enough. When you have a fully developed city, it looks great. Another aspect of the game that I really enjoyed was the ability to upgrade buildings. Instead of plopping down multiple garbage dumps, you can start by building a basic garbage dump and slowly upgrade it as your city grows and advances over time. Many buildings are upgradable and even get as detailed as adding signs and flags to the building. It's a nice little customization to the game that I had completely forgotten about. Cities' specializations are without a doubt the easiest way to make loads of money in SimCity. I got a lot of enjoyment out of growing my specialized industry and watching the cash flowing in every day. Obviously, some city specializations require deposits of coal or ore for the player to specialize in that industry. As your city grows, so will your city's specialization. Continue to upgrade these buildings and make sure you have a good way of selling those resources, and you will be sure to never run out of money for your city. With the Cities of Tomorrow expansion, you can build mega towers in your city that are capable of housing thousands of Sims in a relatively small footprint. You can now grow these towers until they are the largest buildings in your skyline. They too have a wonderful design that makes your city look like it's either taking place in a utopia or a future dystopia. Nuclear power plants, schools, and offices can be added to these mega towers so that your Sims don't even have to leave the building ever. Ground pollution, air pollution, crime, and more can be solved with the futuristic buildings in SimCity. The new buildings added in the Cities of Tomorrow DLC make upgrading and researching at the Academy worth the simoleons. You can now scrub the air and ground of all pollution, and you can build drones to stop crime and put out fires. Starting in what feels like the modern day world and then slowly advancing until you have all of these incredible buildings helps the game last longer than it would without it. SimCity was the first game since SimCity 2000 Network Edition to feature a multiplayer mode. And while the multiplayer was an absolute disaster at launch, EA still has SimCity servers up and running so you can still play with your friends and family. I love the idea of being able to build a city right next to a friend and being able to compare your city with theirs. Sharing resources and gifting money to your neighboring city brings in a whole new aspect to the game, working together to build a region full of money and happy Sims. And when you're ready, you can all get together and build a great works in the middle of your region that fits your needs. I think I might have even talked my sister into getting SimCity so that we can build a region together, and that's the best thing about video games, bringing people together to have a good time, no matter how far the distance between them. Those are the things that stuck out to me most while playing that I liked. And now that we got the happy, good feeling parts out of the way, let's talk about SimCity's shortcomings. First up, roads. After playing City Skylines for the last 8 years, I have grown accustomed to the sheer amount of road types and customizations that are possible. SimCity is the total opposite. There are no highways or one-way roads. There are no roundabouts, tunnels, or overpasses. Trying to make an efficient road layout with only streets and avenues is next to impossible. The game is supposed to have a smart AI that has the cars choose the best route to their destination, and while it is better than it used to be, it's still not great. Traffic will build up and hurt your trash pickup and your city's specializations. Once you've built your roads, schools, police stations, fire stations, hospitals, and all other services, you need money to pay for them. Well, if you want to pay from them with just taxes and not have to focus on a specialization, you're out of luck. I've never had a full city that I can make a profit on using just taxes alone. You must have another source of income. While the specializations are a high point of the game for me, sometimes you just want to build a city entirely without having to dedicate a large area of your map to that specialization. Which brings me to my next issue with SimCity, the map size. This is probably the biggest issue with the game. The maps are tiny. By the time you plop down all services and specialized buildings, you are left with what feels like half of a map to build on. You can't build a separate little neighborhood outside of the downtown area. The whole map is a high-density nightmare. You can fully build out a city in just a few hours of game time. Mega towers help jam more people into an incredibly small area, but the map size severely restricts creativity in city building and planning. And speaking of those mega towers, they have some issues that have never been worked out. Sometimes the building will show that it's losing 50,000 simoleons a day, but when you click on each individual level, it states that they were making money. It just seems like a bug that was never fixed. Another weird bug I ran into was my garbage removal. It kept telling me that I was only getting less than half of the recycling and garbage in my city, but when looking at the map, it showed that all garbage and recycling was being handled properly. While playing the game for long periods of time, my mouse cursor would just disappear, and I would have to restart the game to get it back. At times, the music would quit playing altogether and would also require a restart to get it back up and running. While these little bugs might not seem like a big deal, it detracts from the overall gameplay and immersiveness of SimCity. While making this video, I traveled to see my sister and wanted to play SimCity while I was there. Unfortunately, there is no way to have a cloud-saved, single-player game on the SimCity servers. So if you want to take your game with you, you'll have to copy the game folder off of your drive and take it with you physically. After about 10 to 15 hours of playing, these little issues began to bother me just like they did 10 years ago. You can alleviate these problems by starting a new city, but eventually all these issues are unavoidable and hurt the overall playability of the game. So where does this leave us? SimCity is a mixed bag. I really enjoyed my time playing it over the last week or so, and I could see myself playing it again in the future. But I need a break from the things that bother me in the game. All of these problems hold SimCity back from being a truly great game. Cities Skylines 2 is coming out soon, and it's a demanding title. If you're like me and are worried about your old PC being able to play the game, I would actually recommend SimCity as a nice change of pace if you can get it on sale. Just make sure to get the Cities of Tomorrow expansion, as it adds a lot to the game. I personally hope that EA gives SimCity another chance and comes out with a new game in the series to compete with Cities Skylines. They were so close with this edition of SimCity, and it makes me sad that the series had to die like that. So if EA is watching, please make a new SimCity. I know there are a lot of people who would play it.